Let me just start this video by clarifying to anyone that's watching my content for the first time, I am a Detroit Pistons fan and I am slightly biased. And while I'm at that, if you are watching my content for the first time, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. It's much appreciated. It really helps out a lot and it only takes a second. But anyways, getting back to the point, I am slightly biased. But in the case of Jerami Grant and his case for most improved player this year, that's got nothing to do with bias. I think he should be at least seen as a top 3 candidate to start the season, if not the front runner, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. Let's take it back to the offseason. Grant was signed for 3 years, $60 million, and everyone was kind of laughing at the Pistons. They thought it was a good signing, like why would Jerami Grant go to Detroit? And why would they pay $60 million? But then why would he leave Denver? Because they offered $60 million apparently just to take more shots on a worse team. It just didn't seem to add up. People were really questioning the decision from both parties. Now, a couple of months later from that move, I think we know exactly why he left Denver. And I'm here to tell you, give it a couple more months and he could be seen as underpaid at $20 million a year if he's giving you 23 points a night and fantastic defense, which we're going to talk all about. That seems like a very, very, very high commodity in this league's NBA, and we've seen the Nuggets struggle without him, their third best player in my opinion, and a huge reason they made the Western Conference Finals. He was huge for them in the playoffs, and the Pistons are 1-5, but could easily be around 500, and it's all because of the leap Grant has made, and how he's now become the best player on a team, a rebuilding team at that, but still a very, very good player. Let's just get into it. We have to start with what Grant did last year when we're looking at the most improved player case. And last year he scored above 20 points 9 times throughout the season. That's including a playoff run. That's including a lot of games. This year, he's done it 5 times in a row. 5 consecutive times over 20 points. 9 times in about 80 games last year. That's pretty improved if you ask me. And you've still got him behind guys like Michael Porter Jr., Zion Williamson, SGA in the odds I was looking at for most improved player. The way I see it is guys like Zion and SGA are going to have to average 30 points a game to make more of a jump than Jerami Grant has already made to start the season. And Michael Porter Jr., he can't stay healthy. Is he going to make that same kind of jump? I don't know. I definitely have him above those guys. There's only a couple of guys I think are in the same conversation, and that's someone like Christian Wood. Those are the 2 front runners in my opinion, Jerami Grant and Christian Wood. The irony that one replaced the other, but that's kind of how it works in Detroit. Just talent after talent. But anyways, getting back to it. So Grant has already seen more than half the 20-point games in 6 games with the Pistons than he saw last year with the Nuggets. And how is he doing this? How is he scoring so effectively? Because it's not like he's just chucking up 30 shots a night. I came across a comment that was just completely ignorant saying, oh, he scored 24 points on 24 shots. This was a couple of games ago. That was his least efficient night, 9 from 24 from the field. But overall, he's shooting around league average in terms of effective field goal percentage. He's shooting around 50% from the field and around 33% from 3, which I think will level out. I think he's going to get back to his best as a 3-point shooter, around league average, maybe even higher. But the reason he's scoring so much and doing so quite easily is just because he's simply one of the best finishers at the rim in the entire NBA. I looked through players that are taking as many shots as Grant at the rim and looked at players who are actually finishing at a higher percentage or around the same percentage. I'm going to give you the 7 names. There's only 7 names doing it as often and as efficient or more efficient than Grant. And these are the names: Christian Wood, Domantas Sabonis, James Harden, John Wall, LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Rudy Gobert. So 4 of those guys are bigs and the other guys are John Wall, LeBron, and Harden. 6 of those 7 guys have been all-stars at one point in their career, and the other guy is Christian Wood, an offensive monster who also spends a lot of the time around the rim on pick and rolls, dunking. So you've got someone like Jerami Grant who's getting those points off drives and off cutting and doing all of those things, and he's in that kind of company. That's the reason he's scoring so many points a game, because he's an elite finisher at the rim. He's an elite finisher at the rim. And I know what you're thinking. This can't be sustainable. Surely it's just a hot streak. No, he actually shot a higher percentage at the rim last year at 66 as opposed to 65 this year, but he only took half the amount of attempts. Now he's just got an increased role and he's taking full opportunity. It's not like he's been going up against some kind of bad defenders either. Watch the last game against the Celtics. Multiple times, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum was switched onto him on the perimeter. It's not like inside, on the perimeter, and he blew by them and got layups. He's got an incredible change of direction. His speed is phenomenal. His wingspan, his ability to just glide through and make that quick little shift. He doesn't have a fantastic handle, but he can cross over, he can go behind the back, he can do a little stutter step. He does enough to separate from his defender, and once he separates, his long arms, it's borderline impossible to stop him. It's just about whether he finishes or not. Because of how long his arms are, because of how athletic he is, he's either going to dunk it and you're going to end up on a poster like Daniel Tice, probably the best poster of the year so far, or he's just going to lay it in. He's crafty around the rim as well. It's not like he's just some kind of brute getting to the rim. No, he's got touch. He's got finesse. This guy is incredibly skilled and underrated as a skilled basketball player. So he's showing his ability as an elite finisher around to the rim, which in my opinion just suggests to me that there's no reason he can't keep up this 20-point per game production, which has him up the top of the MIP race. Another thing he's improved on is shooting free throws, which is obviously going to happen when you're getting to the rim more. And I think another thing is he could actually get more free throws than he's getting, in my opinion. Not just being a biased Detroit Pistons fan, but I think he's getting fouled a lot more than he's getting credit for. And once the referees start to see what he does and how he gets to the rim, it always happens. Once they see someone as more of a star player than they currently saw them before, they get more calls. It's that simple. And I could see him getting upwards of 6 to 7 free throws a game as opposed to the 5 he's getting currently. If he starts to get 7 free throws a game, continues to attack the rim at the pace he's doing, and then even boosts his 3-point percentage up a notch, that's someone who's going to be averaging 20 points a game, particularly as the first option. And that's why I think he should be firmly in the most improved player watch. And I'm not hearing anything about people mentioning him in that conversation. I'm hearing about Colin Sexton, Darius Garland, Michael Porter Jr., Zion Williamson, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Christian Wood, and nothing about Jerami Grant, who went from 12 points per game last year to currently at around 23 points per game, and it looks sustainable based off how he's scoring. Make it make sense to me. I don't know. But the thing is with Grant, unlike some of these other guys I mentioned, I'm not going to call out people individually, but unlike some of those other guys I mentioned, he doesn't just play offense. He's a fantastic defender. That's what got him the contract, really. When it comes down to it, what got him the contract is the Pistons saw someone who is a fantastic defender, a capable three-point shooter, and a very good role player with potential to be better than that in a bigger role. And he's shown exactly what he can do in a bigger role offensively. But don't think for a second, just because of how much offensive workload he's now got, that he's not taking on the responsibility of still being a top-tier defender, averaging a steal and a block a game. That's not where it's most impressive. When you look at what he's holding his opponents to, he's holding them over 6% under their usual field goal percentage, and he's doing so on a lot of defensive contests. He's often up against the best wing players, as he was in Denver, and he's doing the job statistically, and you can watch the game. He's just a fantastic defender because of all the reasons he's a great offensive player. His speed, his athleticism, his wingspan, his tenacity, his aggression. That's what makes him a good defender as well. And to start the season, he hasn't been lacking in that department as well. Genuinely, when you look at some of the best two-way wings in the league, he deserves to be in that conversation. And that's someone who went from a role player in Denver who wasn't even starting half the time to now probably one of the better two-way wings in the entire league. That's a jump if I've ever seen one, and that's a jump worthy of most improved player conversation. There's still room for improvement with Grant as well. His three-point shot, as I said, as I alluded to, it's only at 33%. It was 39% the last 2 years. He can get that up. He's been missing some looks he would like to make. He could also improve his playmaking. He's got a bit of tunnel vision. He likes to get to the rim and just score. But as time goes on, as he becomes more of a threat to opposition teams, they're going to start putting bodies in front of him, and that's where he's got to make the decision to kick it out instead of drawing offensive fouls, instead of getting clustered up and missing at the rim and it just being too much to handle. He's got to kick it out. He's got to make the right decision. Those are some room for improvement, but in terms of what he's doing well, he's finishing at the rim just about as good as anyone in the league. His defense is still fantastic. He's taken the role of the number one player on the Pistons after just being an afterthought in Denver for most people, and all of a sudden, he's dominating. 23 points a game, up from 12 points per game, showing that he was worthy of that contract and he was worthy of the shots that he wanted. I just don't think enough people are talking about him, so that's why I thought I'd shine some light on Jerami Grant, who has gone from the third best player, the fourth option, the fifth option at times in Denver, just an afterthought on offense, really. He was just a cutter and a spot-up shooter, to now a major part in the Detroit Pistons offense and one of the better two-way wings in the entire league. The jump he has made is huge, and I thought I'd shine some light on him. Anyways, that's all I've got to say. Jerami Grant continues to ball out. I hope he continues to do it because people laughed at him leaving the Nuggets to go to a different team and take more opportunity because people didn't think he was cut like that. I'm not saying I thought he was cut like that. I thought he would make an improvement, not to this point. This has surprised me as well. He's just been absolutely fantastic, doing everything for this team, and I hope he continues to do so. But at the moment, I think him and Christian Wood should be front runners for MIP. My screen is now black. I'll catch you next time. Bye.